loves. So for today's video, I am going to be doing a bloody Valentine set. If you've been here long enough, then you know I like, gory, creepy type of sets. So obviously I had to incorporate that for a Valentine set. I think I've done like a gory type of Valentine set the last couple years. I'm pretty sure I did one last year. I think I've done a couple gory kind of Valentine sets. But anyhow, I'm just going in with bare bones. I think that's this color from Ballpit. I ended up doing 2 coats of this, and I cured each coat for 60 seconds. And as you can see, I am wearing gloves in this set, or as I'm doing this set right now. That's because I am going to be using 3D whoa. Sorry. My mic just fell. Anyhow, I am going to be using 3D sculpting gels, and I already have the gloves on already because I did mix up the color, because I did have to mix 2 different sculpting gels together to kind of get it to match this nude color that I'm using, because I don't have a sculpting gel that like matches this color exactly. And even what I mixed up wasn't an exact match, but it matched close enough. So I had done that before I started filming, and I'm just keeping the gloves on at this point because I am going to be using the sculpting gels. So making sure that I'm already prepared and that I have my protection on for using sculpting gels, because obviously we don't use sculpting gels with our bare hands. We wear gloves when using it, and we also use tools to help us to not have to touch the uncured gel, because as we all know at this point, uncured gels and having that touch your skin all the time is how you end up with acrylate allergies, and we don't want acrylate allergies. So make sure you're wearing your gloves whenever you are handling sculpting gels and all of that. So anyhow, I'm just taking the gel that I did. I'm using the NAILZ by Dev TRIPPY gels, and like I said, I mixed 2 colors together. I can't remember. I think it was I don't think it's called nude. It might be called nude. I don't know. It's the 2 like skin tone-ish kind of colors. I think one's like light peach, or maybe it's light beige and nude were the colors. I don't know. Anyhow, mixed them together to get a color that matches pretty well to the base color that I used. And these sculpting gels stick really well to a sticky surface, so I just left the sticky layer on the nails when doing this. I didn't wipe them off or anything. But you could also apply a base coat if you wanted to and have that sticky layer. But like I said, I'm just using the sticky layer that's left behind from curing that base color that I did. I'm just taking this gel and applying it to this entire nail with my little cuticle pusher here. I'm just kind of smushing it down, getting it to cover the entire surface. I'm not doing a super thick layer of this because I don't want to make the nail super bulky, but I am doing a thick enough layer on it to where I can like carve into it and do like a design carved into this gel. I'm also trying to focus most of the gel towards the center of the nail, the same way you would do with like, an apex. Focusing it more towards the center of the nail, and then like really dragging out and smushing it down around the edges to thin thin it out so it's not super thick and bulky. And then once I get that how I want it, I do take a brush and some base coat just to kind of smooth everything out a little bit, because you can see right now with using my cuticle pusher it is kind of lumpy and bumpy, and I did want this to be smooth because the whole purpose of this is to make it look like skin almost, and for the most part skin is fairly smooth. So I wanted it to have that like skin kind of smoothness to it. So here I am just taking some base coat and with a little bit of pressure just smoothing it all out to make sure it is nice and smooth. It's not super lumpy and bumpy. You could use alcohol to do this, but with alcohol it could leave like a white cast on the gel, because sometimes with how quickly alcohol evaporates it can leave behind like a white residue on it, which isn't that big of a deal. You can get that off easily, but I didn't really want to deal with that, so I did just go in with the base coat. Also Chrisania, I think that's how you say her name, Chrisania Neri. She has a brand and she does like all kinds of really cool sculpted stuff out of these sculpting gels, and she has her own sculpting gels and whatever, but she also has like a blender gel, I think it's called blending gel, that is the same thing as like what I was doing. You use it to smooth out and blend out your whatever you have sculpted out. But if you don't have that, then you can just do like what I did and use base coat, or you could also use alcohol to smooth it out, just whatever your preference is. After I got that all smoothed out, I'm taking this dotting tool here and carving out a little heart into this nail, and you can see I had a lot of extra gel down there that I was like trying to smooth out from the heart, and then I smoothed it out with my little brush there. And then after I got this how I wanted it to look, I did go ahead and cure for 60 seconds, and then also off camera I went ahead and put the sculpting gel on the pointer and the ring nail as well. I just decided to do that off camera because I mean you already saw me do it on that first nail. I did the same exact thing. I was like, I don't really need to show this 3 times. I think you get the idea from seeing that first one. But I just did the same thing, got that gel on, and now I'm just taking my dotting tool and carving out what I want on these other 2 nails. On this one I just did an X and an O, you know, for like hugs and kisses that you put on, you know, it's all over for Valentine's Day or whatever. And then on the pointer nail I carved out the word love, and then once I got those all carved out and how I wanted them to look, I did go ahead and cure for 60 seconds. And then because I did want these to look like skin, I am taking my matte top coat from Nails by Dev and applying that to all of the nails. And then I do cure that for 60 seconds. And then this matte top coat from Nails by Dev is a wipe off top coat. So it does cure with a sticky layer, and then you have to take a lint-free wipe and some alcohol and wipe that sticky layer off to get the matte effect. And I really love this matte top coat. It is my favorite matte top coat. If you've been around for a while, then you know, or if you've watched any like of my older videos, then you know I've always kind of struggled with matte top coats, but I got this one a couple of years ago, last year, the year before, I don't know, and I've loved it ever since. I know it being like a wipe off top coat is a little bit annoying, and we all much prefer no wipe top coats, but I think when it comes to matte top coats, the wipe off kind of top coats are the way to go. And I had been hearing, prior to getting this, I've heard a lot of people say that wipe off matte top coats are better than no wipe matte top coats, and I was kind of like, well, I don't want to have to wipe off the nail, like I just want to top coat it and be done. But then once I got this, I was like, oh yeah, no, I think the wipe off matte top coats are definitely the way to go. There's no smudging or smearing whenever I go to top coat with them. There's no streaking or anything, so I do really love this matte top coat and I recommend it. But yeah, so here I am just wiping off the nails with some alcohol, really making sure to wipe off all of the sticky layer to make sure that it's all off and that everything is matte. For these ones that I did the carvings on, I didn't really focus too much on wiping off inside of the carvings because I am, as you can see here, I am going in with this blood effects gel from Nails by Dev. So I was like, if that sticky layer isn't wiped off inside of the carvings, it's not gonna matter because it's getting covered up anyways. So yeah, I just took this blood effects gel and just smushed it down into the carvings to make it look like, you know, they were carved into skin, and then, you know, the blood's coming up or whatever. And I was being kind of messy with it. I wasn't being super messy, but I was kind of like, you know, just jamming it in there inside the carving. But then also, like, if it ended up around the edges and like outside of the carving, that was fine, because, you know, if you were to actually, you know, cut into skin, like, it's gonna be a mess. So I was, you know, kind of like, the messier the better, but also I didn't want it to be like super messy. So just going in, filling that all in, and I did this on all three of those nails that have the carvings. And then afterwards I was like, they are kind of a little plain and a little too clean. So I did take this gel and just kind of like smush it around the nails to kind of give like a splatter kind of look to it. It'll make more sense when you see it. And then I also did the same thing for the pinky and the thumb. I just kind of smushed this gel on there to give like that splatter look and to have them fit in a little better with the rest of the nails, because I was just going to leave those two plain and, you know, just be like clean skin. But then, I don't know, it looked weird after I had all the red on the other nails. So I was like, no, I gotta make those look a little messy and bloody and have them match with the rest of the set because they were just kind of sticking out and it looked really weird. And then after I got this all on, I did go ahead and cure for 60 seconds. And then I did wipe off the nails with some alcohol after getting that on, because this gel does cure with a sticky layer, but you don't have to top coat it. You can just wipe off the sticky layer with some alcohol and then just be done. You can top coat if you want, but with what I did on these, I was like, top coating is going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt, especially since I want the nude part to be matte. So I just wiped them off and went, and that was it. I was finished with them. So this is the finished result. I really love this set. Like I said in the beginning, I love, gory, gross, creepy, spooky type of sets. I mean, you can see I have the horror Alice in Wonderland set on in this video. And if you watch any of my Halloween videos, I do a lot of like creepy, gross, gory stuff, because that is just like my favorite kind of thing to do. So I do really love this set, and I also really like it because it's not like traditional Valentine's Day. I am not a huge fan of Valentine's Day. I don't like red, I don't like pink, I don't like chocolate or flowers. So like Valentine's Day is kind of meh to me, because it's all pink and red and chocolate and flowers and stuff. I mean, I know there's like, stuff outside of that, but for the most part that's like Valentine's Day. So doing something different like this for Valentine's Day is definitely more up my alley, because like I said, I'm not a huge Valentine's fan. But I do really love this set. I love how it came out. It's super gross, super gory, and it fits with the Valentine's set theme, because the hearts and the love and all of that. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.